good job taking the quiz. If you have not taken the quiz yet, please do so before. There is no wrong answer, so don't think you're cheating or going to get any kind of better grade by watching this video before you take the quiz. If anything, this video is going to be more boring if you didn't take the quiz first. So we're talking about the book Factfulness. This is on Bill Gates' must-read list. Hans Rosling I believe he's from Sweden. He's no longer alive, but his kids are now doing his work. And he was like the head of the Ministry of Health, or some very high figure with the government of Sweden. And he wrote this book about 10 reasons why you're wrong about the world and why things are getting better than you think. And I like to, do this in my first few weeks of my class to get a better idea of the world in general, because as we dive into business, the world is not the same. The world is always changing and it's evolving. And so just like the information that you were all taught at whatever time, some of you are fresh out of high school, some of you might not have been to school for 10 years or more. So I like to start the class with this as one of the assignments to see how good is your knowledge about the general facts about economies around the world and health and these universal things that definitely play into business. So this is a book. I highly recommend reading the book. And in my in-person classes, we do this quiz. Now, if you want to take the quiz or give it to a friend or family member, it's a website called FactFullNessQuiz.com. And so what we're going to do here is see which ones you got wrong or right. What you could do is you can open up Canvas and have your quiz results showing. So you can see which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. But in the book, there is the quiz itself, and then here's the answers in the book. But we're going to show you the answers because this website tells you as well. So number one, in all low-income countries across the world today, how many girls finish primary school? That's, up to, I think it's 6th grade, maybe 8th grade, but how many, at least get elementary school done? And it's actually 60%. In low-income countries finish primary school, according to the World Bank. So this is cool because it even tells you where to get where they got these facts from. This is why I'm sharing the book with you, because these are facts based on research and where it came from. So kind of surprising. A lot of people think that in low-income countries, oftentimes kids don't get educated. And as you see, that's still a problem. 40% still are not being educated. But as you see, maybe it's not as bad as we thought. Where does the majority of the world population live? Is it low income, middle income, or high income? So the answer is middle income. And again, according to the World Bank, so they do tell you like what is low income versus middle versus high. But a lot of countries that used to be low income, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, a lot of them now are middle income countries because of, look at this, markets and business. People have been educated. They're able to prop themselves out of poverty. So things are getting a little better there. In the last 20 years, the proportion of the world's population living in extreme poverty it's actually halved. And if you got this one right, you probably got this one right. They kind of play into each other. But again, based on the World Bank's information. Number 4, what is the life expectancy of the world today? Yes, 70 years. It has gone up quite a bit because of modern medicine and healthcare and vaccines and many other things that tend to allow people to live a longer life. Everything from, diet and many, many things. There are 2 billion children in the world today, age 0 to 15 years old. How many children will there be in the year 2100, according to the United Nations? So the answer is 2 billion. And you might want to remember that answer because it's going to affect another one. But there are 2 billion children. So what does that say is that, people are not actually having kids at an alarming rate, is the way I look at this answer. A lot of people think like, oh, we're overpopulating, we have huge populations coming in. But actually, a lot of low-income countries are having less babies because babies aren't dying. It used to be that for every, 5 babies that are born, a certain amount of them were dead by the time they reached the age of 13. So a lot of low-income countries would have many children, knowing that a few would not survive. And then also you have in very affluent, high income countries like, for example, the UK or the United States, people are having fewer children than they used to. I believe it used to be closer to 3 children per family. It's now closer to 2 or even fewer. So, number 6, the UN predicts that by 2100, the world population will have increased by another 6 billion people. What is the main reason? And there you go. It's not going to be more children, just like the one I went over. It's going to be a lot of the millennials that are, that were born. We're having less. The next generation is going to be smaller than the previous generation. And these are all forecasts from the UN. And you can click on any of these links you want. How did the number of deaths per year from natural disasters change? So decreased less than half. And this is an interesting one because I'm the only one talking in this video. My other students have said, like, how is that possible? You had the tsunami in Japan. You still have crazy, Puerto Rico. You have all these crazy natural disasters. But the thing is, we're way more prepared than we ever have been before. So since disasters vary from year to year, within the last 100 years, it went down from almost 500,000 to much, much less. So you can read into that. So for the next one, each one of these little stick figures counts for 1 billion people. So is it 4 billion, 1 billion, 1 billion, 1 billion? Is it 1 billion, 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, or 2 billion, 3 billion? And a lot of my students select C, but it's actually A. And so this one is directly related to business because where's the majority of the population going to be in the future? In Asia. What does that mean? Does that mean you should learn Mandarin or some, very popular language, in Asia? Maybe not, but there's going to be a lot of money in Asia in the future as far as people spending money, jobs, things like that. So that'll be interesting. And that's directly related to business and chapter 2, economics. How many of the world's 1-year-old children today have been vaccinated against some disease? 80%. And one disease would be, for example, is polio. Polio is almost 100% gone as an illness. So, look at polio. It's even higher now. But these diseases that often killed many, many people are now almost eradicated. Pretty impressive. 10. Worldwide, 30-year-old men have spent 10 years in school. How much have women of the same age spent? So a lot of students get this wrong. They don't think that women have nearly as much as men. Now, I see this, and it's still a problem because why isn't it equal? Women should be at 10 years and men should be at 10 years. It should be, equal. So we still have work to do, but it's not as bad as you may have thought. You thought that it was. So here's the information if you want to check that one. So this one's the most controversial in my class, and that's because you have to look at the exact number. Tigers, giant pandas, and black rhinos. Remember, there's different types of rhinos. There's different types of pandas. So if you look up the giant pandas, you can Google it. The last time I checked was about a year ago, and this was still correct. And the answer is none of them. All of these have gone. They're no longer critically endangered. They are still endangered, but they are not critically endangered. With critically is a separate category than just endangered. Critically is even more endangered than endangered. Okay, this means like they're very close to being extinct. Okay, number 12, how many people in the world have access to electricity? The answer is 80%, and here is why. I didn't put the last question in our class, but there you go if you want to see the last question that they have in the book. So let's go back to the book here. And you might be wondering, why did I have you do this this quiz? And honestly, I hope it was humbling. If you read his book, he says that he gives this quiz to MBA students who have gone through additional 4 years, 2 to 4 years more than what you have completed so far. And they often get over half of them wrong. They even gave this quiz to monkeys who randomly selected answers, and they outperformed the MBA students, sometimes even doctorate students. And that's because a lot of this information is changing so much, and what you might know is old information. So for example, here's a map of developed countries versus underdeveloped countries and baby deaths, or children, surviving to the age of 5. And as you see in the United States and things like that, we've always had a high healthy baby rate. But you might be wondering, this is actually what it looks like in 2017. That map from the previous one, let's go back. This is 1965. Okay, this is 2017. So the dots represent different countries. Look at that. Most babies, because of modern medicine, are surviving these days. Pretty crazy. So in the book, he goes into more statistics as far as, why the world is actually better than we think. Oil spills are way down. Slavery is at an all-time low. Solar panels are cheaper than ever. HIV is lower than ever. Children deaths, look at that, from 44% in the 1800s down to 4%. And then child labor is going down. Less nuclear missiles. Smallpox is totally eradicated in 1979. And then something that's always a great one is guitars per capita. So now, why do I make you listen to this video and do the quiz? This is why. We should be teaching our children that there are countries on different levels of health and income that are mostly in the middle, right? We all think that, especially if you don't travel internationally at all, you might think like, oh, the United States is, it's one of the best countries and we're the only ones that have healthcare and the only ones that have fast food and clean bathrooms. And you'd be very wrong. A lot of the world is very safe and booming economically. We should be teaching them about their own country's social economic position in relation to the rest of the world and how that is changing. Yeah, the United States is, we have more and more competition. As far as economics, we do have the highest GDP, but for how long? Countries like Germany, India, China, it won't be trust me, in the future, I don't know if the United States is going to be on the top. We should be teaching them how their own country progressed through the income levels to get to where it is now, and how to use that knowledge to understand what life is like in other countries today. We should be teaching them that people are moving up in the income levels and most things are improving for them. We should be teaching them what life was really like in the past so that they do not mistakenly think that no progress has been made. We should be teaching them how to hold the two ideas at the same time, that bad things are going on in the world, but that many things are getting better. We should be teaching them that culture and religious stereotypes are useless for understanding the world. We should be teaching them how to consume the news and spot the drama without becoming stressed or hopeless. That's the thing, if you just pay attention to the news and headlines, you probably got a lot of this quiz wrong because you have to look into the data. The news organizations, the Facebooks and the TV, it's just telling you, drama. Drama sells. Good information doesn't always sell. We should be teaching them the common ways that people will try to trick them with numbers. We should be teaching them that the world will keep changing and they will have to update their knowledge and worldviews throughout their lives. And here we are doing it now. How does this relate to business? I'm going to let you read this in your own time. I'm just going to scroll slowly here. Pause your screen if you want to read this. And just kind of share with you the cliff notes that, there is no one economy. It's a world economy now. We Google and Microsoft are hiring from all over the world. They don't just want Americans. They want people with the skills and expertise that are going to drive them into the future. And that doesn't necessarily mean, the United States per se. So in conclusion, the world is actually a lot better than you think. And moving forward, we have to think globally in business, in life, in many things. So the world is better than we think, but that doesn't mean that we should go and destroy it, or that, we can just say, it's all good, everything's fine. There's still a lot to be done. I like his example of it being a baby. The world is like a baby. And for those, many of you haven't had kids yet, but you've seen a baby before. And the thing with babies is you can't just let them go. They need to be watched because they do things that could hurt themselves. So while the world is like a baby, they're still breathing and alive, we still have to be mindful and watch it and think about progress and how to make it grow into the future. So I think that's a great way to finish this off, in that things are a lot better than we think, but we still have to be mindful. We still have to be learning and adapting as the world changes and working for the future that we really want.